A Volkswagen usually arrives at a hatchback test as the benchmark, Mr. Defending Champ, or at the very least, the Miss Goldilocks. Right in the sweet spot. VWs aren't used to being the inexperienced Virgin N00B. Today, the VW ID3's chief enemy might not be the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus, nor the Nissan Leaf E Plus. It's God. Maybe he's angry about all the emissions. November is doing its best to defeat VW's new ID challenger with brass monkeys. Against an official range of 260 miles, the gasometer readout of this ID3 First Edition, freshly unplugged and extracted from my garage into the frosty morning, can muster only 180 miles, which tumbles into the 170s as the heater is set just so on the grotesque double chin hanging from the touchscreen. Mind you, ID3s we've tested in milder climes have barely promised more, and it's partly my fault. I haven't preconditioned the heating to gently bring the stone-cold battery up to temperature. EVs, like teenagers, are grumpy about early starts on brisk mornings. We're not going to blindly fixate on range today. Range is one-dimensional. What's interesting is efficiency. Promise. Stay with me here. See, the smallest battery of these three belongs to the Tesla Model 3. This entry-level £40,000 version makes do with rear-wheel drive and a 55 kWh battery capacity. If it were as inefficient as the 58 kWh equipped VW, traveling just 2.8 miles per kilowatt-hour of electricity consumed, it'd manage just 154 miles between superchargers. In fact, it's sauntering along at 4.3 miles per kilowatt-hour, meaning a 236-mile range is available, versus 267 claimed. You'd presume Nissan's Frontier than an Oxfam underwear sale Leaf couldn't hope to compete with the might of newer, sharper contenders, and you'd be as wrong as me. Instead of the standard Leaf's 40 kWh battery and single, front-mounted 148 brake horsepower motor, the E Plus upgrades to the largest battery pack of the trio, a hefty 62 kWh, and 215 brake horsepower. The 3-year-old Nissan matches the less bulky VW's 2.8 mpkWh consumption, and when its wildly indecisive computer makes its mind up, offers between 175 and 192 miles before nosing up to another charger. We know that, pose against po-faced competitors, Teslas are invariably the quick ones, the efficient ones, the fun ones with fart mode, and the lucky ones least dependent on a haphazard charging ecosystem. Even this basic version with a single rearward motor and only chill sport acceleration settings for develops 235 brake horsepower and punches to 60 miles per hour faster than a £55,000 Jaguar F-Type, never mind either these rivals. What's surprising is the scale of Tesla's lead in the power consumption stakes. You'd have expected Volkswagen to have it sussed. To have bided its time until it could saunter into the fray and crush the American upstart, but it's no closer to cracking Elon's nut than Nissan, who've been toiling away with electric hatchbacks for over a decade. The Leaf feels the oldest product here, which it is, but it's easily the least intimidating baby step into the warm waters of electrification. Inside, it could easily be a Qashqai. Same switchgear, praise be, some actual real-life buttons, same semi-raised, stunted driving position, apparently resolved in 20-plate cars which finally have adjustable steering column reach, and the same whiff of petrochemical man-made fibers and the ambience of a Zack Snyder film. The semi-digital instruments look like they are from the 1990s, the touchscreen operates like it actually is, while the thick pillars and cramped rear seats make this clean-sheet bespoke EV feel about as spacious as a Ryanair 737. This morning, I'm grateful the front chairs are laudably comfortable, as if they've been transplanted from an American SUV, and it has the most effective heater of the set. While the chunky switchgear looks as dated as a Japanese hi-fi, it's less fiddly than the other two. Volkswagen has packaged its electric hatchback more cleverly, but the detail's great. The ID3's overhangs are shorter. Front visibility is panoramic thanks to slimline split A-pillars. With the motor out back, the ID3 not only offers pleasantly crisp, uncorrupted steering, but the tightest turning circle of the three, whizzing back from whence it came in 10.2 meters, like an up. Up front, the Wii Speedo screen moves with the steering column, and the driving position is just a smidge more upright than a Golf's, with captain's armrests adding to the chilled, wantonly UN sporty vibe. This car's dubious art velour white clean upholstery already feels like it's been recycled one too many times, but the optimistic white touchpoints can be no-cost option to black to avoid clutching a steering wheel resembling a Victorian chimney sweep. You sense VW could have been more ambitious, more BMW i3-ish, with how it rearranged the furniture, but besides the open-top tunnel of floor stowage, all of the glossy, haptic innovations have already made our teeth itch in the latest Golf GTI. The dash crowning ID light, which pulses when you address the Hello ID voice control, is more Windows Vista 2000 than 2001, A Space Odyssey. Has VW maximized the advantages from this long-wheelbase 21st century groundbreaker? There's no fruit in the nose, underbonnet space is reserved for the air conditioning system, where the Tesla gives you a bonus cargo bay up front. The 385-litre boot's nowhere near as deep as the Leaf's because of the 90 kg motor gearbox gubbins plumbed underneath, and that matters when bulky, crud-encrusted charging cables need to be carted around. In the middle, the ID3 is indeed roomier than the Golf, which will take up the same space on your driveway, with a flat floor and seating for 3 at a pinch. Headroom is a mite tighter than the Tesla, but both cars are glassy and relatively welcoming compared to the Leaf, which is what gave Carlos Ghosn the idea of hiding in a cello case.